Recording in progress.
We had good discussions. I spent some quality time with Noble because it was clear that he was the key person here. And I also wanted to learn a little bit about how the city was organized because I was concerned about moving into so-called political appointment position. I really didn't want that. I didn't want to have to worry that every time the mayor changed that I could lose my job. And it turns out that the City Charter of Akron had been set up in a way that kept the health department independent of that range of politics. It was the Board of Health that had the responsibility for appointing the health director, and that responsibility or that appointment was based on a background, and particularly they wanted a physician.
How did you come to the realization that having some independence from political leadership had some pluses?
Well, I was just beginning to explore that while I was in Kentucky. Remember, I joined the American Public Health Association. I've been going to I've been at several annual meetings. I learned a little bit about state health directors particularly, but also local health directors. I talked to a few who were, of course, concerned about that, and most state health directors, even more now, because the trend was to politicize those positions, but most of them were political appointments, and you could see it in the relatively short tenure of most state health department directors. Because every time the governor changed, then the new governor would want their own person. And we were looking for some stability, and of course I had no experience in the political world other than trying to get along with people. I wasn't a heavy partisan one way or the other, and understood I'd have to work with both Republicans and Democrats in this country and independents. And I understood that in a public job like this, it would be much better if I wasn't identified with a particular political party. All of that came together in my discussions with Noble, who, of course, touted that as a real advantage to being in Akron. He essentially, I think, validated my thoughts, and it was a good part of a convincing argument that Akron was a good place to come.
And what was Tom Noble's position again?
It was Noble Chirard. His first name Noble, last name Chirard, Sherrard. Noble was the deputy director of the health department. He had come up through the ranks of the health department and was Dr. Morley's chief assistant when Dr. Morley retired. So the Board of Health appointed him temporarily as sort of an interim health director in order to keep the department running while they conducted this nationwide search. As part of what Dr. Morley was doing in his retirement was looking at other medical schools in the US who were interested in and involved in community health in some demonstrable way, other than just clinical medicine. That and his daughter, being on the faculty, brought him to Kentucky that had a strong reputation for community medicine at the time. So he was there looking at what the school was doing as a consultant for the medical school, looking forward then to reporting back to the medical school, because the folks at the medical school were telling me that they designed this new school and had, and had been looking themselves at what was going on. They needed more information, but they were creating this so-called community-based medical school. They were calling it community-based because they knew to have a new medical school in Ohio that already had 6 medical schools, this would be the 7th, they would have to do it as inexpensively as possible. And that one way to keep it inexpensive would be to avoid building a university hospital center.
Hold on one second.
Recording stopped.